The biggest problem for Rishi Sunak is that he doesn't seem to have the kind of raw appeal and popularity of Nigel Farage. Nigel was walking around the Tory party conference like a rock star. Everybody, young and old, wanted a moment with him. The press were more bothered about where Nigel was and what he was saying than they were about Rishi Sunak's comments about a new education qualification or whether or not smoking should be banned for fully grown consenting adults. The HS2 stuff is a controversy because it's an incredibly expensive and long-winded mistake that embarrasses Britain and the Conservative Party. It would have been more use to stack the billions wasted on HS2 up in a big pile in a field and set it on fire. That way, this winter, some elderly people could have used it for warmth instead of shivering in their own homes. But beyond that, HS2 doesn't really move the dial. The vast majority of people wouldn't have benefited from it anyway, and now slightly fewer people will. So what? Who cares? The best thing that came out of this conference, though, for the Tories was that they are now the only party that really stands up for women, in my view. They can define what a woman is, which is a start. They don't want men in women's prisons. They don't want men in women's hospital wards. They need to make more of this and say, if you are a woman, vote Conservative, because every other party is happy to do away with you or make you less safe. That's basically half of the adult population on side. But, put simply, Rishi Sunak does not caress the heart of Conservative Party members or basically the right-wing population in the same way that I think Nigel Farage does. I was looking at the GB News email inbox during Sunak's speech, and the overwhelming consensus was, decent speech, where's the action? Nigel Farage is perceived as a doer. He's a tsunami of personality, and political opponents don't really know how to deal with him, do they? They don't seem to be able to handle him, possibly because he's a bit of a disruptor. Now, I started a rumour at Conservative Party conference, where I've just got back from, when Nigel walked in, flanked by everybody in the media and loads of Tory members. I was stood next to him at the GB News stand, and I decided to ramp up this talk of him rejoining the party, which, by the way, I don't think is going to happen, and see what came out of it. I even asked our political editor to put it to the Prime Minister directly. Well, what came out of it was one MP saying that he'd get on his hands and knees and beg him to join, loads of other MPs saying that they'd welcome him, rival media channels doing hour-long phone-ins on whether or not Nigel will be the next Tory leader, a former Home Secretary sticking to him like glue, and the Prime Minister not ruling it out. I actually don't think there is a huge gulf between what Nigel politically believes in his heart and what Rishi Sunak politically believes in his heart. I do not think that there is an Atlantic Ocean of political ideology between them. But the big difference, as far as I see it, is what they're prepared to say out loud. Nigel bets the house on the fact that he has the majority view when it comes to several key issues and would win a referendum on all of them. Immigration, illegal immigration, the ECHR, net zero, I could go on. Rishi Sunak is happy to send Suella Braverman out there to say all of that stuff. But the fact is, as I see it anyway, Rishi Sunak seems like a lovely guy, and I think on the inside he's more sound than he lets on. But currently, he's too afraid of alienating potential Liberal Democrat voters to actually do what his own voters want.